What's up everybody, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to have a look at my first thoughts for my game week 6 team selection. So this will be coming out at the beginning of every game week as we have a look forward to the upcoming game week. At the beginning of the week, what transfers I'm thinking of making, my plan and who I may be transferring in and transferring out, and some of the key early knee-jerk questions that you guys are going to be asking. So in terms of how my team is lining up at the moment, I've got 2 free transfers and 1.7 million in the bank. So I will have to make a transfer this game week. Now this is how my team is lining up at the moment. Now the big dilemma for me at the moment is I've got Dennis, who did score in game week 5, was very happy with that, but I do have 8 playing attackers. So at the moment Dennis is the one that is sitting on my bench. Benrahma and Antonio away at Leeds, I think there's a good chance for them to get some points. I think Sarr is still a better option than Dennis. Rafinha at home to West Ham, he scored in game week 5. I haven't loved him. He hasn't been that explosive in terms of his returns. He hasn't got that many bonus points when he has got returns. However, at the moment, he is in my starting lineup over Dennis. Now, I have 2 free transfers, so I do have to make a transfer unless I consider burning one, which I don't think I'll do. But looking at my team, I'm pretty happy with it overall. There isn't really anything that I look at and think that is definitely a transfer that I think I'll need to make. Now, I think probably the defense is where I look at and think there's some strengthening that could be done here. I've got Shaw at home to Aston Villa. Now, I'll keep him for this week, but I'll probably look to move him on after that. Manchester United look good defensively, but they are conceding a few sloppy chances. Trent will come back in. I think he had a stomach bug, which meant he missed game week 5. So I think he'll start game week 6 and onwards. And then White has Tottenham at home. Now, Ayling has West Ham at home as well this week, with Tsimikas likely to not get back in that Liverpool side anytime soon. So I've gone with White because Leeds have looked just dreadful defensively. I don't see them keeping a clean sheet against West Ham, and I'm starting both Benrahma and Antonio, so I am betting that there will be some West Ham goals, so I don't want to start Ayling. I've got White, he's got Tottenham at home. I don't particularly love that as a fixture, so it may be him that I look to sort of remove from my starting lineup. Whether it's White that I actually sell, I think it's unlikely given they've kept 2 clean sheets in the last 2, but I think making a transfer to probably strengthen that third position in my defense may be the way I go, because I have to make 1 free transfer. So if we consider some of the players that I have at the moment in my mind that I may move out of my team, so we have 4 defenders to start here. So we've got White, Shaw, Tsimikas and Ayling, all defenders that I'd consider selling. I don't particularly need any of them in my starting lineup. Shaw has a difficult run of fixtures. Aston Villa scored 3 times this game week against Everton, and from game week 7 it does continue to be a difficult run of fixtures for them. Being expensive, I could move him on. However, I do think I'll be wildcarding soon, so I can make that transfer then. Then White, Ayling and Tsimikas are all potential transfers out for me in order to get a better defender that I could play this week. Now, White has kept 2 clean sheets in 2 matches, so again, I think it's unlikely to be him because they do have some nice fixtures after this Tottenham fixture this week. So upgrading Tsimikas or upgrading Ayling to a defender who I'm more confident in playing probably only this week, so I can choose a 1-week punt for just game week 6. So that is definitely something I'm considering doing for either upgrading Tsimikas and finally getting a free 3rd Liverpool spot, although not having Jota and having Tsimikas and not being able to afford Jota has actually been a bit of a blessing in disguise the past couple of weeks. But Ayling as well, I've not been sold by the Leeds defence. If I get him back in a couple of weeks on my wildcard, that may happen, but at the moment I'm definitely not sold on owning Ayling at the moment. So Tsimikas and Ayling could both go. The other one is Mason Greenwood. So he got a blank in game week 5, his first blank of the season. However, the first 4 game weeks he's got returns. He's been quite fortunate. The goalkeeper, bad saves. He's been getting assists for rebounds for Ronaldo as he did in game week 4. I also think there's a potential chance that his rotation, his rest from the starting lineup is coming, and it could come in game week 6. Now, I don't necessarily think it's worth a transfer, and I think probably the defensive transfer is more worthwhile, but it is something on my radar, and if I do decide to change one of my attackers, I think Greenwood will likely be the one that moves. Aston Villa, now that are playing a 5 at the back, are better defensively. There is a harder chance for Manchester United to keep those goals coming and Greenwood to be involved, and he's been getting a couple of early subs as well, which is a bit of a concern. So whether I sell him this week or whether I sell him when I come to play my wildcard is still a bit up in the air, but he is a player that I think is a few game weeks away from not being in my team. So the bottom 3 that you've got there in Tsimikas, Ayling and Greenwood are definitely the options that I am looking to sell this week. Where I go in defence or where I go in midfield is up to debate, but I do really think that I'll only be making 1 transfer this week. taking 2 transfers into game week 7 when Chelsea have a really nice fixture swing and Liverpool play against Manchester City, I think will be really vital, so I can move some of those Liverpool players, potentially some of those Manchester United players for 1 week before I play my game week 8 wildcard, which is the plan at the moment, to push it back 1 week further than I thought. But with that in mind, with those 3 potential transfers out, let's have a look at some of those. Let's get my team up and actually start tinkering with my team and what those players in could be and what the transfers out could also potentially be. So, just like that, team selection up on here. Let's have a little bit of a look at my team and some potential first transfers. So we look straight away, we have a couple of yellow flags. Ayling and Rafinha, I'll keep my eye on. They did both pick up knocks in game week 5, so I will have a look about whether Rafinha is ready to play, whether Ayling is going to be ready to play at the moment. However, Ayling I don't think I'm going to start anyway, and if Rafinha is not fit, I do have Dennis, who has Newcastle at home in game week 6, who is currently sat on my bench, so I don't really think that if Rafinha is injured that I'll need to make a transfer there anyway, unless there's someone that I think is a really appealing asset. So I'll just start Dennis. He's looked good. He scored again in game week 5, so I'm quite happy with him to come off my bench. So I think I'll just make one transfer and I will probably be focusing on my defense. So if we have a look, I think Ayling, Tsimikas will probably be the 2 that I target. I would like to free up that Liverpool spot in case I don't wildcard early, in case that for some reason I think I can save my wildcard. I think selling Tsimikas now is a good time to do it. He's been a player that's got me a lot of points. I've loved owning him. He's been a great selection for me for the start of the season, but owning him going forward will prove a bit testy. So if we take Tsimikas out and we start having a look, we scroll up, let's put in defenders and we start having a look with a budget that we've got now, sort of 5.6 million that we could potentially go with. So the key dilemma for me at the moment is the ones that stand out are the Chelsea and Manchester City defenders. However, they play each other in game week 6. So do I really want to be going for Rudiger this week in order to just play him at home to Manchester City? Now I could bench him, but I don't think that would be wise. So if I bought Rudiger, I would play him this week alongside Trent and alongside Shaw, but I'm not quite sure that's necessarily where I want to go, and I can bring him in for sure next week. So I'm a bit undecided on exactly whether I want a Chelsea defender. It's definitely on my radar given they've conceded no goals from open play so far in the Premier League or in the Champions League so far. 540 minutes they've played with 0 goals conceded from open play and 1 penalty conceded against Liverpool when Reece James got sent off. So I think it's worth considering going for a Chelsea defender. The other team that I could potentially go with in terms of my defence, in terms of that defender that I could go with, is Leicester. Now, they haven't looked great at all. However, they have the best fixtures for the next 2 game weeks if I was going to play that wild card. So Burnley at home, Crystal Palace away is a really nice couple of fixtures for Leicester. And I do think there is a good chance that they keep 1 clean sheet in these 2 matches. Now, whether I go for them because of their form over the first few game weeks is still a bit up in the air. But I do think there's a good chance that there are some good differentials in that Leicester defence for me to potentially target. Now, the other one that I think a lot of us looked at before this is Wolves. Now, they weren't great this week. They conceded twice to Brentford. Now, Brentford have been a pretty good attacking team so far this season, and they do have Southampton away, Newcastle at home in the next 2. So again, a potentially nice couple of games for Wolves. Semedo would probably be the one that I'd go with. Marcel, I think there's a chance he gets dropped. The Wolves fans have not loved him from a defensive point of view. He's been great going forward, but he's not in the team for attacking threat. He's in the team as a defender. So I think Semedo would be the one that I'd go with if I went for a Wolves option. And then finally, as we spoke about, Chelsea. Now, Chelsea are a difficult one. I don't know exactly who's going to start for them. Rudiger is probably the only one that I'm assured of. Now, you look at that fixture run from game week 7, and I definitely think it's worth considering bringing in one of them early, so I can even go for a double up in defence from next week. Southampton at home, Brentford, Norwich is a great run, followed by Newcastle, Burnley and Leicester. So I think it's definitely worth having at least one Chelsea defender in for game week 7, if not getting 2 in. So if I went with one of them this week, next week I would have double Chelsea defence because I could bring in someone like Reece James. But Rudiger's the only one that I'm sure of. He did score in game week 5, so I would be sort of chasing points a little bit with him. But as a Chelsea fan, he's definitely the one that I think is most likely to start each and every game week. So I suppose the 3 that I'm going with and considering going with is a potential Leicester defender. Whether we go for a centre-back who's more likely to start or a left and right back, I haven't decided. Nelson Semedo of Wolves or Anthony Rudiger of Chelsea. So those are the ones that I'm potentially considering owning. Now, the other one we can potentially look at quickly is that midfield spot that I did potentially talk about. If I don't have that defender and I don't want a Chelsea defender this week, I could play Ben White, and then I have 9.3 million midfielders that we could go with here. There aren't particularly any. Gallagher has a good fixture against Wolves this week. Gray, Doucouré didn't particularly perform this week. Torres then has Manchester City as well. So again, there's no one really standing out. So I do think Greenwood will likely stay in my team for this week, and Tsimikas will be the one that leaves, or Ayling if he's injured. But Tsimikas out, finally get him out of my team, and I can free up that Liverpool spot is definitely the way that I am considering going. So those are my first thoughts for my team for Game Week 6. If you have enjoyed, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. There is so much coming. Game Week preview, final team selection, deadline stream, as well as a stream during the week as well this week. Going throughout the season, there's plenty to help you get the best rank you possibly can and have game weeks like I did in Game Week 5. And we'll get onto quite how well that went in a future video this week. But of course, we will see you all very soon for the upcoming videos. But before you go, do like and subscribe, and I will see you all very soon.